Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Alan Brunton, who's the founder, president, and CEO of Cymatrax. Alan, welcome to the program.
Mike, it is so wonderful to be here. I am very honored to be on your show.
Well, you are welcome, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you. I know you focus on enhancing human potential through digital audio. So I love where that is going and sounding. I know that this is like audio technology, but I feel like this is very relevant to the times for two reasons. Number one, everyone deals with stress in their lives, especially given the last couple of years we've gone through. So that's that. But then also, there is a big surge in voice-activated technology. So I know that this has nothing to do with your technology, but I just feel like this fits so well where people are so used to saying, hey, Alexa, or, doing voice-activated searches, as opposed to back in the day where it was only tactile and you would touch papers and look at brochures and catalogs. Well, your technology is not read this wonderful document, you will learn how to expand your human potential. This is digital audio, so it really is relevant today. Give us a background of yourself and then what led you to create this technology.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate that. I was actually raised in an out-of-the-box thinking environment. My father was an inventor. He actually was an electrochemical engineer who used technology of Nikola Tesla so successfully over 3 decades that he actually was undercutting Big Pharma by 85% and Dow Chemical by 92%, and then he was getting 85 miles per gallon on a 1971 Ford F-100 pickup truck. So much innovation coming up in what I was exposed to that I was always raised in an out-of-the-box thinking environment. And because of that, I also then learned to do something very different and out of the box. I sang opera. And I studied how to sing all the way through grade school, high school, college, and sang with the Dallas Opera for 9 seasons. But during that time, I also was an entrepreneur by opening up so many different restaurants. I think the last count was 33 different restaurants that I've opened up, and that caused me to have a television cooking show. And because of that, I learned to be an audio engineer. And with that, I just learned also about expression of how can I become better without infringing on somebody else. And so I started looking at neurology and what the workings are of and about and what the brain is going on. And ever since about 2009, I started seeing a lot more technology going into neurology, and a lot of questions were being answered. And so since I was so near and dear to music and sound, I started looking at and receiving and digging up clinical trial data from Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, Harvard School of Medicine, MIT, and the Oxford Neurological Research Institute. They were using specific frequencies and documented this, how and which frequencies within what we expose ourselves to on a daily basis, that these specific frequencies will raise your brain's cognitive ability and give you less stress and be making better decisions and more focused attention without the noise pollution, which I just will generically call white noise, is inherent in all digital audio. Now, one of the things that we have learned to talk about, and instead of saying that Cymatrax, the company that I formed 7 years ago, is more than a technology company. We are a biotech company. And because of understanding how these specific frequencies will travel much more efficiently through the central nervous system, the energy of the sound wave will connect and give a better signal to the brain. We've just opened up the door and said, well, wait a second. Those frequencies that'll make us smarter, as well as white noise, is in all digital audio. where can I get hold of software that will take my recording of Mozart or the Rolling Stones and make it healthier? And I was told, well, that's never been done. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's what I did. So 7 years ago, I jumped ship, reached into my bank account and my retirement account and pulled out and got this software developed. It took me a year to be able to find someone that had the skill set to write acoustic-based code. And I even went down to Dell, down to Austin, to a couple of other tech companies down there. No one down there could write my code. So it took a year to find somebody to write it. He wrote it for me. I paid him off, got it patented. Took 3 years to get it patented. And now then we're building partnerships and aggressively looking to be able to bring this out to the world. So as we're saying, digital audio includes not just music, but corporate training, podcasts, online education, books on audio. And besides all of that, I have two very well-known, respected neurologists that have acclaimed that what we have produced can also be used in several other neurological disabilities, including autism.
Huh, neat. So I've heard of this technology before, like the binaural beats. Is it similar to that, or are you adding your technology over top of something else someone else has created, so that when they listen to their favorite music, then it's just being more, beneficial to them?
Well, I was having this conversation with somebody else with another company that I was looking to see if there's any competition out there, and they're really not, because what we do is we do not add anything, because if we did, then there would be a lot of, let's say, musical artists and other people very upset that we were messing with and adding something to their art. But we decided not to do that. Now, back to binaural beats, what happens is that in that is a displacement of synchronization of the recording being delivered through the auditory canal system that will actually move the brain back and forth. And we don't do that. And it's really nice to know that binaural beats is actually having a really good run at how to be able to improve cognition. But that is not anything that what we do whatsoever. Half of the name of Cymatrax, C-Y-M-A, is for cymatics, which is the observation of how sound moves matter. And there are several examples of that on the internet, showing videos of how specific frequencies moves matter. Now, in that case, I want to go back and understand that concert A, whenever you go to a symphony or something, in the similar, and you see the concertmaster, the first violinist usually, he'll stand up and he'll get a tone from the oboist, and that oboist will tune everything to 440 hertz, and everybody tunes to that. Well, we have scientific data now then that shows if people were to tune to 432 hertz, which is sounding to the non-professional musician, 432 hertz sounds almost identical to 440 hertz. But if you tune that down to 432 hertz, you will see that there is a specific vibration and geometric pattern that forms in cymatics that does not appear at 440 hertz. And so with that, with all of the clinical trial data that we unearthed through all those other R&D facilities I mentioned before, we see that there are several other frequencies that are off from the regular Western modality of understanding 88 notes on the keyboard as being the all-encompassing supposed use of what we're supposed to be able to compose music with. But what our technology has done has been able to take, let's just say a recording of the Rolling Stones, and we take that and analyze it in the software. It takes about a second or two, and then it locates where these specific frequencies are, locks onto them, and then our patented formula will reduce a small percentage of all the other frequencies in between those. So it doesn't change the quality Yet the people now then have more energy, less stress, and a higher cognitive focus.
So you mentioned that it has positive impact on autism. So without getting clinical and, promising, I know you can't promise anything that way, but it made me think of something. Tinnitus is a condition where people hear sounds, whether it's screeching or whooshing sounds, but it's literally, from what I understand, science has said it's not an actual sound, it's just your brain making you think you hear that. Would your technology have an impact on tinnitus as well?
Well, that is something that so many people have asked me on right now, but this technology to be applied to the brain is so wide-spanning that I'm going to, unless somebody comes up and wants to fund our research to go into that direction, we're going to put that as one of the milestone side steps into our future. I myself actually suffer from a little bit of tinnitus in my right ear. And from all of the research that I have looked at, it looks like that tinnitus could be, number one, something of that needs to be repaired physically within the auditory system, but then the recognition of how that travels through the entire central nervous system, and especially through the synapses, where the exchange of neuron energy waves between the synapses will actually have a variable to it. So we have both something inside of the brain itself that could be a problem and needing rewiring, but then again, it could be just limited to the physicality of somebody that, let's say they went to too many rock concerts whenever they were really young and always stood on the front stage and put their heads right next to the Marshall speakers. And so, that's going to do some damage to you. But
so there's going to be physical as well as potentially the internal aspect to deal with. That's a good point. So what would you say is some of the top 1 or 2 or 3 benefits from your technology? What is someone going to experience?
Oh, much more focused attention, especially. Now, let's see, last August, Forbes magazine, August the 7th, actually, Forbes magazine put out an article talking about Zoom fatigue and the culprit from somebody being stressed out after spending all time every day on Zoom interviews and discussions. They felt like they were so much more stressed than even being inside of the office and talking face to face. And the culprit in this is poor audio. Well, if you think about it, if you go out and spend $2 or $3 at the dollar store and get yourself a pair of earbuds as compared to $400, AirPods or whatever you're using, you're going to tell a big difference. And in that, it's the same way of what we're doing with the recordings that we're taking and putting our technology to it, is that we are taking out the poor sound quality that actually vibrates the central nervous system and takes away from the resources of making the best cognitive decisions and judgment. So that is one of, I would say, the biggest benefit. And let's say for online education. If you understand that most people will tune out and their attention span goes away after 10, 15, even 20 minutes. Well, most calls that we're on today are 20, 30 minutes, 45, an hour, hour and a half. So what they're doing in those calls is flooding and bombarding the ability of the brain to recognize and put away the pollution, the white noise that puts them to sleep. And if you know young parents, and they've got an infant child, what do? They put them in the crib and they turn on a noise generator to put the child to sleep. And that's what it does. We have clinical trial data from the National Institute of Health showing that white noise will put you to sleep, slowing down your respiratory, your heart rate, even your glands in your body from producing essential chemicals. So the less white noise you can subject yourself to, the higher performing functionality the brain will have to be able to do and conquer all the choices that you make.
It makes me think of something, so I'm going to tell you what it is and then tell me if I'm halfway accurate. Back in the old days, I'll say, because this is computer related. I just had my IT guy come out and do some work on my computer last week, and I made this comment to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's true, but don't ever do that because these days solid state hard drives don't need defragging." But I remember running a defrag report on my hard drive back in the day, and you would get all of these up and down and up and down and gaps and parts. Fragments, really, of your hard drive that somehow just kind of got a little gap here and a gap there, and it'd make it run kind of rough. And so when you defragged it, then it would be nice and smoothed out because everything fit together. Now these days you don't need that because the solid state hard drive just doesn't produce that. But it kind of made me think of that when you were describing it. So maybe through the audio throughout our day, whatever we're hearing externally, and what we put in, like we're listening to an audio program or whatever. Maybe if your technology is smoothing things out, then it kind of that's part of the help of the output. Am I thinking correctly that way?
Mike, I swear I am going to start using that analogy because it is just so spot on. I have never thought of it that way.
I approve and allow you to use it. Have a fun time with it.
Well, no, that's great. Now, looking at the defrag chart, I mean, it is the same way. Because, like I said, if you look at Cymatrax and the way that most frequencies that are subjected to the brain just cause, and most people, if you go to YouTube, you'll see all kinds of videos on Cymatrax where they take a stereo speaker, lay it on its back, put a metal plate on top, and then they pour fine sand on the top, and then they'll turn on an amplifier and turn on a frequency generator. And if you look at the horizon of that metal plate, you'll see the sand is just sitting there bouncing up and down until you modulate to a specific frequency, and then it will turn into a geometric pattern. And that's what actually opens up the delivery of the energy of that signal from the sound wave much more efficiently through the central nervous system. The same thing is with the defrag of the brain and defragging the noise pollution, the white noise that we subject ourselves to all day long. If we can get rid of a portion of that, and you have to remember, you can't get rid of all of it, because if you did, then your recordings would sound really bad, and nobody would be able to understand the words. So, yeah, that's just very, very appropriate. Thank you for that.
So now let's wind down and wrap up with this last question or thought, which is, hearing this makes me think, okay, so now every single time I put my earbuds in to listen to this song, this podcast, any audio, I should never do that ever again before contacting you and going, here's what I'm going to listen to next week, so please optimize my audios so that I can listen to this without feeling, the stress or the dissonance. So my question is this like a one-time and you're done, or is this like, okay, well, we should apply the technology to some of your main things you listen to a lot, so that what is the implementation of the technology?
Okay, well, that's a good question. Right now, on our website at cymatrax.com, we do have a tool set up there so people can log in and upload their own files. And now something like this would be just so welcome to professional athletes that, like on basketball or football, you see them out on the field and they've got headphones on. If they can take their playlist and run that through there, that'll be optimizing it so that, they will have a lot more energy and be making better focused decisions, getting ready to play. However, our main goal and what we're in the process of doing right now to get it to market is talking to streaming media companies like Sony and even Lenovo for their corporate training experience, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube. And we could use our technology easy as a plug-in for the premium users. So we're into understanding that right now, but I mean, right now, I've actually got 2 different publishers that are giving me books on audio, and I'm transferring all that over so that when the reader then downloads that book on audio, they're actually going to have a much healthier listening experience and will be able to listen to the entire book clearly without falling asleep. So that way, what does that mean? Well, that means they're going to go back to the publisher and get another book.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Neat. Well, you mentioned the name of the website, Cymatrax.com. I will make sure that link is in the show notes so people can check out your technology. And Alan, I really appreciate you coming on today. It was really wonderful hearing your vast knowledge and experience, and then turning this into a product that has clinical trials and approvals. And so I'm excited for you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Mike, it has been my sincere pleasure of being here. And if anybody who's listening to us wants to learn more, you can come find me on LinkedIn. You can come to the website. I do have a page even up on Facebook, posted some things on Twitter this morning as well. So, yeah, I would love to be able to share this information and tell people, let them know that they can optimize their human potential by using this type of sound technology.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Alan.
Thank you very much, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.